Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Peeps Podcast, Episode 2. I'm your host, Gemini, along with your co host,
Jay Mays.
Jay Mays, and guest host.
I'm Swayze over here.
Now, it doesn't say live on the thing like it did before.
What do you mean?
Well, last time we did this, it said live next to your name.
Oh, no, that's Discord Live. That's a completely different thing. And this
Oh,
is on
okay.
OBS, and I'm recording.
Oh,
I
interesting.
can put that up if you want, real quick.
just make it live. Make it live for Jay Mays. It's totally
Alright.
fine.
I'll do it right here.
Okay.
I'm a little picky that way.
There, we're live.
I like consistency, and I can watch myself as we do this. Awesome. Technology,
Technology. That's
brilliant.
the way that it is. All right, so we got some things on the show notes here that I kind of rummaged around and kind of thought about. One thing that has been going through my mind over the week was the concept of ASL. Swayze, are you familiar with the ASL?
Depends. There's sign language, of course, and then there's age, sex, location.
The age, sex, location is what I'm talking about.
So, yeah, what do you want to talk about with it?
So, I always thought it was really interesting that, first of all, uh, my first experience with ASL was on MSN Chats, right? I don't know if you know this, but MSN Chats was like before AIM, before AOL.
Oh, I'm very, very familiar
Okay.
with
Okay.
MSN Chat.
Yeah, so I would go into MSN Chats as a wee lad, and I would lie about my age, and I would talk to random people who I thought were women, but were probably men.
Right. I did the
Ditto.
same. I'm guilty.
And so they would always ask, the very first thing was ASL, right? And so you're like age, sex, location, and you were told as a kid, right, on the early days of the internet, never to share your location with anybody. And I was like,
Right.
that makes sense because you don't know who you're actually talking to, and so it's always better safe than sorry, right?
I thought location was for state.
Well,
Yeah, I
yes.
think that's all I was asking. But even that, like when I was young, was kind of scary information to give out.
Yeah, because you don't really know how granular you can get with it, right? And
Well, I
so
was pretty fearless then.
I was not. I made sure that uh, of all the age, sex, locations, my locations would always be random, and it would be in another state, right? So at the time, I was in California, so I would say something like 17M GA or MI, or just pick just a different state.
Right.
You also notice that I changed my age, and I didn't always use my sex properly. Just just thought just thought I'd put that in there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I never, changed my sex or anything, but I was also, ignorant.
Okay, but like, did you also like lie about your age?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, what was the oldest age you put down?
Like probably like 24.
Okay, 24.
But like MSN and Hotmail and YIM, all the instant messaging was kind of popular when I was like I don't know, maybe 13 or 14.
Okay.
I didn't really
So,
get into that until I was 15 when I had, high-speed internet.
I mean,
Actually,
that
I
might have
think it
been the
was still
same time.
dial-up. So about 15, the highest I went was 17. So I was actually kind of honest in those chat rooms.
Nah, I was 13, 14, and I was talking to people who said that they were 17, 18, and so I lied and said I was 17. I don't know why I thought like this was a weird barrier to have. So I remember whenever ASL was asked to me, I was like, okay, what is an age that they'll think is convincing? And so what I decided that 17 was the best age because 17 you're still like, a minor.
Yeah, you're
But
still young.
yeah, but you're old enough to kind of get to you can kind of fake
A
it.
nude pic.
No. It wasn't anything like that. Although we'll probably get to the darker side of MSN in a little bit. But the idea was if I was 17, I can get away with like how I text at 17, but if I said that I was like 24 or 25, everyone would like look through that right away, right? So it was like I need to pick a lie that is right, is an optimal lie for my age, and then
Right.
It's like getting a fake driver's license for like 22 or 23 so you can buy beer. Younger, but like right at 21, it's like, this is a little suspicious. But if you go for 34, it's like, oh, you're definitely lying.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to change any subjects, all right? But so do you have any stories about like you actually getting called out on not being your ASL?
No,
Nope.
because the chat rooms that I was in, because I remember with MSN chat there was like a bunch of different categories that you could pick. So like let's say for example you like music, you can go and click on music and then just go into a chat room about music. But I always picked the CD channels because I was a horny 13-year-old and I was like, ooh, I can talk to girls online and they can tell me things. Let's see what happens. And so I would always go to the 18 plus channels, say I was 17, and surprisingly nobody kicked me out. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And then there would always be like a private message conversation. And then back in the day, it wasn't sexting; it was cybering, and that was
Right.
an interesting time to be had for all of us.
Especially with the introduction of webcams.
It's gotten so much worse.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Now that VR is a thing, I have seen some stupid ass shit.
Gnarly, introduce yourself.
What?
Introduce yourself. We're live.
Oh, I'm Gnarly, and I am currently on a minute 5 of waiting for Blender to recover from not responding.
Ooh, good.
I got about an hour's worth of work and I forgot to save.
Oh no.
Tragic.
That is terrible.
Come on, baby. You can do it.
So Gnarly, we were talking about ASL,
Okay.
and I was wondering what was the biggest ASL lie you've ever had?
The biggest ASL
Lie.
lie. Oh. What that like I made?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, like obviously, like when I was like fucking 12 on like AOL chat rooms. I mean, obviously I'm 16. Like that's every 12-year-old in an AOL chat room back in the day.
How come y'all started so much younger than me?
Because we had internet.
I don't know, James.
You know what? I didn't even get cable in my house, so I was in 9th grade. So
Oh my god.
So I didn't have cable
Or-
either, but we did
or
have dial-up.
I remember logging into my parents' computer. It was right next to their bed in their bedroom, right? So like I would turn on the computer and the glow from the screen would come out, and I would kind of peek over and see if they woke them up or not. If it got past that test, then we were on, right? So I would connect to AOL online, right? Make sure to turn the volume all the way down because there's been a couple of times where I connected and it's like, you got man, god damn it, you know.
no,
Like, so
get off.
the worst part was connecting to the internet because it made that like screeching dial-up sound, and I used to take pillows and towels and surround the tower of the computer to muffle the sound.
Oh my god, your computer must have died from heat exhaustion.
And that's how I got online.
Oh, Jesus.
So here's my question, right? You know the old Windows startup noise? You had to have had the computer already on, because the old Windows startup noise,
Oh,
loud
it
ass
was
noise.
horrible. It was horrible.
They're like,
Yeah, and that's the towels played a big factor in that. The pillows, towels, blanket, whatever I could get to muffle the sound.
Wait. Gnarly, so you started with AOL, right?
Yeah.
You and Swayze started with MSN chat.
AOL here.
Yeah, I started with AOL. MSN was good. But yeah, like AOL is where I started.
Okay.
So yeah, my main chats were MSN and then Yahoo.
Oh, I never went
Back
on
when
Yahoo
back
chat.
when Yahoo was actually really big.
Yeah.
But
I didn't use
I
any
did
others.
have an AIM, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I had hundreds of AIMs.
I remember
Aims,
James.
as they call them.
We used to talk on AIM like after school, didn't we?
Like, man, Connie is so hot. You know,
You
like-
weren't on as much, I don't think. But
I was, but you would always say, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Not much, and then that was it
yeah, that was the extent of a lot of AIM conversations. It was like,
with you.
hey, look, I have the ability to chat with people. Cool.
Oh man, have you ever tried to talk to a girl on AIM?
I dominated in that. In person, I suck, but
Oh
over AIM,
no,
I was a genius.
I was the original recipient of the one word message. Hey, what's up? Hi. What are you up to? Nothing. Oh, okay. Have a nice day. that was all of the conversations that I had with girls. I don't know why they gave me their AIM. It was ridiculous. Do you guys remember Trillion?
Yes.
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 Oh man, for the first
That
time.
was some next level shit.
Yeah, because okay, so with the whole AIM appearance and started getting really popular here in the States, everyone that I talked to back in Brazil was still using MSN, and then you had some people like on ICQ for some reason. So when Trillion came out, right, you could just log in all of your different messaging services together, and you just have an entire list of friends, and it would just work. And you're like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing.
This is the first time hearing about it. I never knew
Really?
about that.
Never knew you could pull up like as many instant messenger programs. You can do Yahoo, MSN, Hotmail, AOL, like all of it. And then AIM came out with the thing where you could pull up multiple names at once. So you can just have like, at times I would have between 3 and 5 different screen names up, chatting with different people, which made it kind of cool. If you were talking to someone, you can go and talk to the same person under a different name, like if it was a girl, and ask some questions pertaining to be someone else. Like, hey, what do you think of Jay? Is he pretty cool?
Did you ever
That sounds
accidentally
like some
talk to yourself?
14-year-old.
That's some deep shit for a 14-year-old.
Man,
Hey,
this
by
guy
that
over
point,
here
I
is
was
really
16.
cool. You know him?
You don't know me, but I'm Jameis too. just
So
thought I'd pop by.
on the topic of old school like chat, what are like some of your embarrassing old names? You know?
I've had
From
go ahead.
For me, one was Diamond Magic 3, because I used to play a lot of cards and do a lot of card tricks. So one of my lucky cards was a 3 of diamonds, and I like to do magic tricks, so it was Diamond Magic 3. Well, it turns out any name with the word diamond is usually a chick. And it wasn't received too well.
Oh no. ASL M. Oh no.
See, I had pretty basic usernames.
Swayze,
Like,
what were your usernames?
I mean, the ones I used with people I actually knew was pretty much just my name, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, the ones where you go on, like, the chat rooms with, yeah, that was, like, skateboard guy or something, you know? Like,
So
420.
So my brother had, so me and him used to share the computer a lot, you know. So a lot of times, like, we'd be taking turns, you know. So like I ended up using a lot of his stuff. He ended up using a lot of my stuff. But when one of his accounts, his AOL account, the name was Files 234.
Why?
It was the most generic ass fucking username.
That's ridiculous.
Speaking of
man.
having to share the computer, so I have an older brother, of course. He's 2 years older than me, and so we had to share the computer, and it was about when I was like 13, right?
Yeah.
And so there was this one time where I got called out of my room. Like I was like, 13.
Mm-hmm.
You there?
All right. Good story.
All right, I got an embarrassing story related to this. So I didn't know there was aim logs. Actually, at this point, I knew about aim logs, and I didn't think my brother knew. But him and my other friend Buns decided to go through there and saw all the conversations that me and my then girlfriend used to have. All the sex talk. and she had a pet name for my penis, which was a Japanese word for penis, which was Inkei, which I hated that name because it sounded pretty wussy. So one day they're like, so how's Inkei doing? And I'm like, oh no. And the level of details that they read about, I have forced out of my mind.
Okay, so
I can only imagine.
I got an embarrassing AIM story, but it's not actually about AIM at all, right? So during the height of this whole AIM thing, there would be a bunch of different sites that would have different things that you can do, and this was around the time where games like Club Penguin, what's another game that's kind of like that? I don't remember.
Habbo Hotel.
Yeah, Habbo Hotel, things like that. So I found a game. It was called Furcadia.
Oh my god!
Have you guys ever heard of Furcadia?
I have now, and it's just by the name, it sounds horrible.
Is it for FOR or fur FUR?
FUR.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh boy.
And so I'm like 14 at the time, right? So I have no idea what furries are, and I don't know anything about this. But I'm like, I look at this game and I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. It's a game where you can walk around and you can talk to people. It's like AIM, but you can walk around. It's a game for AIM. It's perfect, right? So I go ahead, sign up, make an account, and then they ask me, it's like, oh well, choose your race or choose your
persona.
choose your species. And I was like, hold on, all right, like I have to choose my species, and so I could choose between a cat, a dog, a horse.
So tell me about your
one of
persona.
them.
always go with the horse if that's an option.
No. I wasn't doing the equestrian. I think that's what they called it. I was a dog, and I would put in my username, whatever, and I would walk around and talk to people. And it was a good time, right? And because I'm horny 14-year-old, always went into the 18 plus because that's how you do it. And yeah, so that's the thing that happened. It was a wild time. I don't recommend it at all. Furcadia is a terrible time. Don't do it.
It sounds like a crazy time.
So
For most people.
So let me get back to my story real quick before the power went out.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah, it was that good of a story, So sharing a computer with my brother, right? Back in like the early 2000s. And so we all had our own profile. My mom had her own, my dad, and then me and my brother both had our own. And like the only thing I did, so I'd go on there and like chat on AIM or like check my email and not have like any emails because I was, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like one day I'm sitting in my room and my mom calls me over to the computer and I'm like, okay, what did I do? Like, I know I'd like talk to girls and stuff on AIM, and like maybe on her account she could read it or something. But that wasn't the case. No, she comes in, pulls me over to the computer, and shows in my pictures folder on my account fucking over 2,000 pictures of like pornographic material, right? And I'm like, I didn't download this, and she did not believe a word I said. And like, this is the most genuine, not lying.
Wait, you didn't download that? What happened? How did
It's
it
his
get...
older brother.
Oh no. So what ended up happening? Did we lose him again?
Maybe.
Story's too electrifying.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
I actually when I was around that age, I got my own computer. And at the time, I had a room with a walk-in closet. So I decided that it was a good idea, or my parents decided that it was a good idea to put the computer in the walk-in closet.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
It was a fantastic idea because basically I was also in the basement. So like at the time it was a one-story house with a basement that was finished. And if I could hear everybody go down the stairs. So if and my parents' room was upstairs. So they would be up in their room and I'd be down in my room and I would have my door closed, my walk-in closet door closed, and my computer would be on, so I'd be free to do whatever I wanted. And I would get an alarm by the noise of walking down the stairs to figure out what's going on. And so I realized quickly that Alt-Tab was my best friend. Because whatever I was looking at, I could quickly switch to Alt-Tab and then, open up a Word document that had some, bullshit in it. Oh yeah, Mom, I'm doing homework. It's totally fine. That worked up until one time where I decided to download a wonderful little app called Bonzi Buddy.
Oh my god, I remember Bonsai Buddy.
Do you guys
I
remember?
do not know what that is.
Well, because you were smart. Because Bonsai Buddy was a massive virus that you downloaded. Apparently, it would use all of your permissions and it would download all the shit that you didn't want. So, essentially, what ended up happening was I would download Bonsai Buddy, and Bonsai Buddy was like, "Hey, I noticed that you're doing a thing. You want me to tell you a joke?" And then they would just randomly download some like sexy material, and I'd be like, I don't know what this is, but I can't have this on my desktop. That sounds like a terrible time. So I'll delete it, pop back up the next day, right? And then one time, I was surfing the interwebs without a pop-up blocker because they didn't exist at the time, or I didn't know about them. And quickly Alt-Tab. But unfortunately, the pop-up blocker, would just pop up random things. And, as I hear my parent, the sense of dread that you get if you hear walking down the stairs and somebody's about to come into your room, because that's what they usually do, right? And you have material that you're not supposed to see popping up at random times, doing random things. Also, you have like a little GIF on the ground, like by your taskbar, of a girl, like a stripper, dancing for some reason. Also, Bonsai Buddy's telling you a joke and won't shut the fuck up. And you have lost complete control of your e-machines, because that's what I had. I had a fucking e-machines.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a bad time. And so I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? Right? The only thing I could do was to completely shut off the computer and look at blank screen, because it was better than admitting that I was doing something, that I wasn't supposed to be doing on the computer. And, I successfully navigated away from that lie. I was like, oh, I was about to turn it on, but I realized that I have to write this paper instead. So I'm going to go ahead and write the paper instead. And that was it. So luckily, I didn't do that. But it was a terrifying time in my life.
I have one a little bit worse.
Oh, wait. Before you do that, well, tell the story. I'm going to go get a beer. I'll be right back.
Oh, I'll wait for him. Swayze, do you want to continue yours?
Yeah, my service cut out too, but my power's back and everything. So, I don't. Where did I leave off? Because I told the whole story and then realized.
Your mother was scolding you, and you were pleading that you were telling the truth. It wasn't yours.
Oh, so you pretty much heard the whole story.
Okay, it was your brother though.
Yeah, it was 100% my brother. I didn't figure it out until like I was 17 years old, and like I was looking, and I was like, wait, so I can access his pictures and my mom's pictures and my dad's pictures, and I was like, oh, okay. He just saved them. That or else my dad did, which I doubt.
Thanks, Pops. So mine, somewhat related to Gemini. I was probably 18 or 19 years old, and going my computer was in my room. If you open the door, you can have a direct line of sight at the computer.
Right.
It was late at night. I'm sitting at my computer with nothing on, with some videos up, my headphones on.
Right.
Oh,
and
mistake number 1, headphones. Can't do that, man.
Well, you're supposed to do one headphone.
Yes.
Well, anyway, it was tile floor in the house, so you can't hear anything anyways. And all of a sudden my door opens up, and my mom's there. And I managed to click the thing really quickly and turn around. Well, kind of look at her, not fully turn. She says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just playing World of Warcraft." She's like, "How come you don't have any clothes on?"
It's hot.
And I told her, "Well, I sleep naked in bed. I couldn't sleep, so I hopped on the computer. I didn't feel like putting any clothes on." She just kind of looked at me and then backed away and closed the door.
I've definitely been caught multiple times.
Not sure if she bought it or not, but it's never been brought up. I have people that said, yeah, she knew what you were doing. But I'm going to stick with that. She was ignorant enough to not know.
Oh, she knew exactly what you were doing. She knew damn well. She was like, I'm not going to touch this. I'm just going to back away slowly and close the door.
It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I should be like, what are you doing up? You have work tomorrow.
Yeah, but you can't say that when you're a kid,
I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah, fair.
It's like, I don't have to go to work at this fast food place till like noon. What are you doing up? You got work in the morning.
Oh, man. Wait, so Swayze, you said you had some interesting getting caught stories?
No, they're not interesting.
No.
I'm just saying it happened to me a lot.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
What are you doing? Were you just getting caught all the time?
Clearly I was a teenage boy and liked watching porn videos. And we had a family computer.
So
it's respectable.
You didn't have contingency plans in order to one headphone out.
I definitely had that, and I'd wear a blanket. So
I
just
feel like
anytime I was at the computer, I was always wearing a blanket anyways. But that was one of my contingencies.
Okay.
But I mean, you're sitting there watching your videos, right? And you can never quite get it in time. They're always gonna catch a glimpse.
Mm.
And you have your tabs open for MySpace or whatever you have on the other screen or other tab. You try and click to it really quick, but never really worked You know, they always catch a glimpse.
Along with the blanket, what you also need is one of those paddles that has the ball on a rubber string. They're like, what are you doing? I'm just playing with this toy at the computer while this thing downloads. It's an update for WoW.
Why are you downloading it on LimeWire? Don't worry about it.
Did you know that the creator of LimeWire, or at least one of like the head developers, actually made Spotify?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually really dope.
Yeah, Spotify is like a protege of LimeWire. Yeah.
Oh man, I miss LimeWire so much.
I don't.
But by the way, I want to take this time to let anyone know that's listening to this to go ahead and take your beer or whatever you're drinking and go ahead and throw it at the like button on your computer, just so we can get some more views. Thank you very much.
Are you talking about smash that like button? Is that what you're doing?
Hey, too many people use Smash It. I prefer just to take a full can of beer and just throw it right at the desktop
Chuck that like
monitor.
button. I like
Unopens.
You know what? Like and subscribe or don't. I'm not a beggar.
it.
I mean, don't forget to ring that bell. Am I right?
Ring that fucking bell.
Ring that bell.
Fuck
Blow
yeah, how
that
you gonna
whistle.
like it and not ring that bell?
Oh man. No.
So today's sponsor is Raid Shadow Legends.
and
Don't make me do it.
we could
What
probably,
is Rage Shadow Legends?
You haven't heard?
I'm not even completely sure, but I've seen at least 20 ads for it.
It's the ultimate PvP, MOP, MVP, upside down tree, multiplayer action, amazing zombies thing that you can play on your phone or on your PC. Or
Sounds like something I haven't heard of.
It has over 5 million downloads.
And almost a perfect 5-star rating on the Google Play Store.
See, now you're gonna get sponsored.
I hope we do get sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. That'd be dope. For every view, you get a nickel. All right, I get a nickel. It's fantastic.
Let's split it 4 ways, all right?
Okay, who gets the extra penny?
Why did
You
Blender
can have
to
my
crash?
share.
Okay, that's
That's some bullshit.
What's up?
So I'm doing some 3D modeling, right? And like Blender crashed on me, right? But I'm making like a male avatar, right? And you start with like a base, unless you want to create it from scratch, right? But like the base model is like a fucking naked fucking Ken doll dude, you know, with like the fucking like there's no crotch on it. There's just that weird
Lump.
action
Like
figure
lump,
fucking
yeah.
lump, right?
Yeah.
But the worst part is like I'm working on this model and it's just this fucking bare ass. And like the first thing I do is like put pants on that fucking thing and cover that shit up. I have to do that all over again.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, man.
I'm gonna need therapy after this.
You need therapy from looking at a bare ass that's computer generated.
Why don't you just
Bro.
put some fur on it?
The pixel, bro. The pixels.
Those pixels. It's terrible.
I thought you said it was a lump.
I'm sorry?
Never mind, it was a penis joke when you said pixels. Disregard, we can edit this out, right?
Yeah, sure, but I won't.
We'll handle
Yeah.
that in post. Don't even
Yeah.
worry about it. All right, we'll handle all that in post.
Along
Yeah, our
with
massive team.
the Raid Shadow Legends sponsor. It's actually
Yeah.
it's actually Frosty. You know what you should do? Frosty right now is playing Escape from Tarkov. We should probably just drag him in here and see what happens.
Look on their name and just drag and drop them.
Yeah. Tell him to smash that like button.
Just wait. We need like a live in the field report. You know, like it's like a news station kind of thing. Like coming at you.
And we go
like,
to Frosty with.
and now we go to Frosty with
Market
our
news
local
on Escape from
our
Tarkov.
local boots on the ground news from Escape from Tarkov. How's it going out there?
And he can stream it live.
Okay, gnarly,
What?
do it.
Get out into the field, go get Frosty, and bring his ass in here.
Should I pop down there first and ask if they're in the middle of some shit?
No.
No,
No.
just drag him.
All right. Who's gonna talk to him?
You are.
Damn
They'll only listen to you.
So, and now to our boots on the ground correspondent. He's a correspondent. All right.
Just wing it.
Yeah, you know, Gnarly, you're going to be the best correspondent in this group.
All right, hang on. And now to our boots on the ground correspondent in the world of Escape from Tarkov, we have Frosty. Frosty, how's it looking down there?
Bad.
Hit that live button so we can
What's
see.
the current situation
You just
like?
drug everybody in here. Got it. Wait, did you just drag me out? You son of a bitch!
We are hosting a podcast currently. We need to know what the current situation is. What map are you on? First off,
I'm not in a map. I'm in my stash.
What do the markets look like?
He's in his stash. He's in his stash. He's not even.
What's
how's
up?
the market
What's
looking?
down?
Graphic cards are way up. That's what's up.
Way up there.
You heard it here first, guys. So invest heavily in graphics cards.
Invest
They're gonna
in
go
graphics cards.
No, sell. You want to sell right now. You want to sell the graphics cards.
Sell.
Can we get a live
graphics card?
stream of
What
this?
should we invest in?
What do we invest
Corrugated
in?
hose?
Again, lead X's. Always lead X's.
Always
Always
lead
let
X's.
X's. Okay.
So the lead X's are up 0.2 points, you know?
How's the weather
Yes.
over there, Frosty?
That's good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, you know.
How's the weather in Tarkov? Is it raining?
Well, again, I'm in my stash, so I can't see weather.
I mean, you haven't gone outside?
I was in factories the last 2 raids.
Ooh, okay. So very clear. All right.
Yes, quite clear.
Good to know.
All right.
All right, well, we're going to turn back to our host, Gnarly, over here.
What? Can't put me on the spot like that, man.
With our
was
major
the
story. The next question is, do you believe that China's taking over, as a world power and making us feel insuperior in the U.S.?
No.
I don't feel insuperior.
Here's the thing about the U.S.
Does that count, or does that not count?
The U.S. will never feel any sort of infuriation towards any other country.
I'm sorry, what?
But we sure hate this country.
What is infuriation?
Oh man, what is it?
Inferiority?
Inferiority. There we go.
There you
Excuse
go.
my vocabulary. I'm not college educated.
Some
Grew
of
up
us
on the
didn't go
streets.
to fucking whatever the fuck college you went to, Ref.
Fancy pants. College.
Florida St. Mary's School for the Blind or something. I don't know.
We'll edit that out in post.
We'll edit everything out in post. But that
So,
actually, no.
So Frosty, can we get a live stream of what's happening on your end?
Again, my end is nothing's happening currently.
Well, Jameis, I would have to see it, and then I would have to put it onto the live stream. So,
Well, we can still see it ourselves.
yeah, but I think it would be very interesting.
And never mind.
To comment on something that the viewer can't see.
All right.
Yeah, but the
Anyway,
recent conversation does segue into the next topic, which I decided to write in a different place. Is a little bit more serious, but I think it's relevant. Frosty, there has been.
What is happening right now? What am I involved in?
You're in a podcast. You didn't know?
I don't
Oh,
remember
you didn't
signing
tell him?
any legal. I don't remember signing any legal papers for this.
I forged it. You're good.
Hurry. Half of us have been to copyright school. We're good.
It's fine.
Yes,
It was
we have.
digitally signed. He knows the rules. He knows how it goes. What do you want? What is the question?
So the question is, over the last decade, there has been a growing contention that the U.S. has lost its influence socially, economically, as the dominant power in the world. And what I mean by that is not necessarily as far as military might or anything like that. What I mean is their social influence. So, for example, back in the 80s, to be in America in the 80s was, Gordon Gekko, everything was big, cocaine was everywhere, mirrors were also plentiful, Lamborghini Countach, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, it's not the same, right? So I get an kind of a feeling that it's less, I don't want to say cool, but it's less ideal to be American in that sense.
So what do you think took the place then?
I'm not saying that
you don't think anything's... I think socially we are still the forefront. No one wants to be American. I will say that. I will agree with that. No one wants to be, but people still want to be.
I like it.
It's not cool to want to be an American, but you don't see anyone going anywhere else. No one else wants to go anywhere. Everyone still wants to come to America.
They're still banging on our doors to get in.
Yeah.
No, I get that. It's but that is for an economic reason. So
I don't think it is. I think some of it might be, but I think some of it is still socially. It's still cool in other countries, I feel.
So basically what it comes down to is how we are viewed by Europe, because Europe, the EU, I think, is a little bit more stuck up.
I mean, like, you can even take it just even from recent activities with everything going on with, like, Black Lives Matters. Like, none of those other countries were a problem until America started having an upheaval of Black Lives Matter. Then all of a sudden you started seeing protests in other countries about how Black Lives Matter. Like, it's the epicenter was here, and it spread like wildfire to other countries because it was so big here, I think.
We're still setting the bar.
Yeah.
No, but okay. Maybe I'm not getting my point across 100%, but...
I know what your point is. So, in my opinion, I think that since then, we have continuously stayed in war with one country or another all this time, to the point where it's like, what are we doing over here? I think that's the main focus, is that we're always in war, and that kind of trickles other people's opinions of us. And I think kind of the more negative, like, why would you want to be American, comes from the EU. When you look at maybe Asia, Africa, especially Central and South America, we're still like a hot place to be, because there's still third world countries over there. We're generally safer than them, and you have freedom to just go and say F you, and someone's gonna be like F you too, and keep on walking.
Okay.
But the EU is more civilized.
Wait a minute, Jameis.
Except for France right now.
Are you saying that South America is less civilized than the United States?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
No.
100%.
I was saying that EU has this idea, from what I perceive of them, that they are civilized, they're sophisticated, they have all their ducks in a row, and America doesn't.
Because the way they fucking talk. Fuck them.
I think the
but like with other countries, especially third world countries, we might seem economically safer, safer from gangs and corruption from politics, even though
I'm sorry, what?
Technically not safe, but
no, I get it. So
but overall, the American dream rings on to other countries and continents, but the EU and Europe, I think they feel they're above us. And that kind of sets that tone of being like, why would you want to be an American? We have socialism and it works for us kind of argument.
Who in the EU practices socialism nowadays?
Nobody.
Yeah, it's only like South American countries at this point, isn't it? And China.
China's a dictatorship. I thought most of the EU was...
Are they a dictatorship?
Most of them are, like the United Kingdom's a parliament.
I think Venezuela is the only big one still around that practices socialism.
Yeah, like I'm gonna put quotes around their socialism because if we're going to talk about socialism, eventually it devolves either into complete anarchy, which is the communist goal, or a dictatorship, where you get the likes of Stalin, Castro, and Mao. But this is completely derailing from the idea that I had.
Original plot point.
Well, yeah. Well, are we still a leader? So from whose perspective?
I'm talking about a social leader. See, here's this is like my idea is like completely
Socially,
no.
socially, I would say Americans are perceived as ignorant and, I don't know.
Well, yes.
Thank you for that.
But here's the thing, right? So the idea that I have is kind of like, so you have like an economic like kind of like race to get to the top, and we're always competing with the likes of China to have more economic power, right? Then you have military power, and obviously the Cold War, where you had the U.S. and Russia, where like you had a bunch of space race, things like that. I'm talking about social power, right? So who is, for lack of a better word, the coolest on the block? Now, my theory is that we haven't been the coolest since the 80s. And the reason for that is a variety
Disco.
of things. Well, no, it's not.
I already disagree with the 80s. I would say at least mid 90s, possibly into the 2000s, but definitely mid 90s. We were definitely socially the coolest.
Okay.
When we had
Just
Clinton.
through not even because of that. I would say because what was it, the 92 Olympics? We had the dream team going around the world, and like Michael Jordan was still a pop culture phenom at that point. Like that was the beginning of him becoming such an impact worldwide and globally. Like watching did you see the documentary The Last Dance?
I did not. But let me counter that with a more subtle, subversive coolness. All right? Frosty, what's your favorite anime?
Dragon Ball Z, I guess.
Okay. Can you name any other animes?
I mean, I can.
Okay. Gnarly, what's your favorite anime?
Trigun.
Jameis,
Ooh, that's a
what's
good
your
one.
favorite anime?
You say me?
No, Jameis.
Jameis.
Oh, I want to say Yu Yu Hakusho has a soft spot in my heart.
Swayze,
That's
what's your
also an
favorite
old school
anime?
one.
Oh, it's definitely Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay,
Relatively newer.
we have 5 people in this podcast, 5 different answers. All
Wait,
of
what was
them-
yours?
Oh, mine would probably have to be. I do like me some Yu Yu Hakusho, but it's gonna have to be Gundam Wing, 100%.
Ooh, another solid one.
Yeah, right. We all know these animes, right? We've
All from the
watched-
90s.
all from the 90s. We've all watched them, right? We've all had a great time on Toonami, whatever. But subversively, the Japanese have made these wonderful products that we can consume, and we have been consuming since the 80s. All these different things, right? And my theory is they are socially climbing. I'm not saying that they're 100% better than America or whatever, but I'm saying that with each successful thing that they put into the American mind or into the minds globally, because Frosty, you said you like Dragon Ball Z. I saw Dragon Ball Z in Brazil, right? And and that's the first time I realized that Bulma smokes. By the way, you didn't get that in the U.S., which I thought was really interesting. But that's the kind
There's
of
a lot of things they showed in that original anime that they did not show in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pervy things going on as well. I think he
Master-
pats her on the vagina a few times.
Master Roshi is a complete perv.
Well, no, Goku as a child pats her on the vagina a few times in the original.
Well, sometimes you just gotta pat.
You
the
didn't
guy.
know.
He's a kid.
Yeah, but again, everyone sees
Goku's
if
like,
any parent is paying
sometimes-
any kind of attention, they see it. But it didn't really matter at that time. Again, it was a cartoon, so nobody cared.
Listen, Goku taught us, just like our dear president, that you gotta grab him by the pussy sometimes.
Sometimes.
Just gotta do it, right? Okay, and so
Sidetrack.
the idea is that in the minds globally of what is interesting and cool, there's always been a country that have been leading the forefront. So what do I mean by that? Let's say in the 30s and 40s, right? You go back in time into the 30s and 40s, right? You have the characters of like Bugs Bunny, but you also have Pepe Le Pew, who is a French skunk womanizer. And
True.
but that was like a really popular character. So at that time, the coolest thing to be was to be French, right? But now you don't really get that anymore. You don't get the French, vibe, right? And you see it like with cooking. You see it with like a bunch of different things, right? And what I'm saying is that as far as the American social, the American social diaspora is less present than it was maybe 10 years ago or maybe 20 years ago. And now it's being occupied by different players in the game. So you have countries like Japan.
Isn't this just a consequence of social media, though?
It could be.
I would also like to say that other countries have developed similar outlets for their own culture. Like we have K-dramas now, which are very popular. My wife loves them. And apparently, I think it's Turkey that has the highest ranking soap opera in the world.
Ooh.
Like most watched by most people is like Turkish soap operas or another country in the Middle East.
Huh.
And that's something we think about United States and also Latin America culture, the soap operas.
I think
But
it's also going to depend on which field you're going into. Like, yeah, you're saying soap operas, but sports-wise, until this last pandemic, it was definitely the U.S. leading the front in that. Like,
and we still have Hollywood.
Well, Frosty,
well,
I disagree with you on that
India
one
has Bollywood, but
I think what Gemini's getting at though is in the 80s we led in a lot of different industries. We led in the technology industry. We led in the artist industry. We led in like so many different things, and everyone just wanted to be like an American.
Right, and they kind of copied our same things we had and applied it to their own cultures. So a lot of what they have is just a Brazil version of something America had, or a Japanese version of what America had, and I'm using those as examples. Anime is its own thing, not copied from America. But they put their own cultural influence into the same stuff we had. So it kind of like, hey, we don't have to watch the American product, we have our own. But I think overall the American product still dominates worldwide.
I think America definitely leads in, I wouldn't say leads. They lead in industry, I guess, but not in like innovation. Not anymore.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Just
look at Ryobi.
Who?
Ryobi is the most innovative tool. That's not American.
Yeah, but look at Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's why.
Is he from South Africa,
Isn't he? Yeah, South African. But then we also look at cars.
Here. He does everything here. I count an American.
Cars are also, made in other countries, but
aren't all the
something from Korea or Japan is significantly cheaper and may last 10 years longer than an American-made product.
Well, not very many vehicles. I don't even know of any vehicles right now that are completely made in America.
Well, that's actually a misconception because a lot of foreign companies have factories here.
Right, and they'll assemble them in the U.S., but their parts are not made in the U.S.
Well, not a lot of parts are made in the U.S. Usually they're made in like China.
I mean, we lead in the steel industry, though.
Child labor, dog.
And car companies overseas, especially Japan, has higher tolerances. So when you're building an engine and you have your cylinders that are being put inside, in America, it might be you have a 10,000th tolerance. which leaves room for error, and slop, which causes deterioration over time. Where in Japan, it is a zero thousandths of an inch tolerance. If it has to be exactly 6 inches, it's going to be exactly 6 inches. Where over here, it could be 6 inches plus or minus 10 thousandths of an inch. So they have stricter guidelines when they make their automobiles.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wait. What? They're not using inches. They're using metric.
You got the point.
I'm converting it. So what?
In real time, Jameis is converting in just to metric.
But plus or minus 5 thousandths of a millimeter.
You understood what he said. I understood what he said.
What's that in inches?
What's
So something you said interesting about Dragon Ball Z being in Brazil.
Mhm.
Dragon Ball Z and anime in general was usually watched by a certain group of people.
Mhm.
And
Nerds.
as of late, when they had what's the new version of Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Super.
Oh, is it Super now?
Super.
I thought it was Kai.
That seemed
I don't know.
that seems to be attracting audiences of like the entire male demographic. White people, black people, Asian, everybody loves it. All these guys and even like thug rapper looking people. I've seen videos of them watching it, and it's just like it's not a nerdy thing anymore. Like
Well, it's
Dragon
cooler
Ball
to be a nerd
Super,
now.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Dragon Ball Super is like everybody loves it.
Well,
Yeah, I mean that's just the state of growing up now, though. Like being
Yeah, they have Rocket
like when
League
you were
teams
growing, yeah, like there's high school Rocket League teams now. Like when like the
really?
80s, yeah, there was a thing on ESPN I think the other day or somewhere that had it on TV.
That's dope. Friday
But
Night
like
Rocket League.
but being in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, being cool was being a jock, being an
True.
athlete.
And
Being cool now is like having a
that's
political
declining.
opinion on something or being a nerd.
or having a TikTok and posting
Yeah.
videos of yourself grabbing your hair.
The era of the jock in America is on the decline.
We got e-jocks now.
Exactly.
E-jocks.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, so that actually is a nice segue to my next topic. So, are you guys familiar with speedrunning?
Yeah.
Of yes.
I
Yeah,
am. I'm
what,
not. I'm
games?
going to take a quick pee-pee break.
Okay. While you take a quick pee-pee break, I will explain to the viewers that we have none what speedrunning is. So, the idea of speedrunning is complete a game in the fastest amount of time. And so that makes sense for a lot of different games. I'm pretty sure somebody has completed in the speed run. Wait, actually, Gnarly, have you done any speed runs at all?
No.
Okay, so like probably the classic examples like things like Quake and Doom, right? Where there was like a timer at the end of every mission. So you'd be like, there would be a par timer set by the developers, and then you'd try to beat that par set, and you'd be like, ooh, they thought I could do it in 30 seconds. I did it in 29. Congratulations, right? So my thing is that I've been kind of like watching this speedrunning YouTube channel for a while, and the thought occurs to me that you can get a speedrunning, you can do speedrunning in any category, right? Most famously is Super Mario 64, and I'm sure all of you guys have played Super Mario 64.
I haven't.
You haven't played? Really?
Really.
Well, shit. Play it.
I'm culturally behind, just so you know, or just to remind you.
Been under a rock for the last 30 years.
So, Super Mario 64, the idea of Super Mario 64, you got to collect 120 stars, and then you have to defeat Bowser, who is has the princess captured in a castle, right? Classic example. It's in all Mario games. That's the premise. Speedrunning version, though, right? You have to get like 70 stars, which is the minimum amount of stars to fight Bowser and win, or you can get all 120. But there are also categories for 30 stars, 16 stars, 1 star, and 0 stars. And they all require the final Bowser boss fight. Now, how do they do this? What they do is they basically use like glitches in the game to get through certain areas in Super Mario 64 in order to complete the game faster. Now, my question is that considered beating the game?
I feel like as long as you get to see the end credits, you beat the game.
Well, don't they have two different standards for speedruns for that? One with glitches and one without?
Oh, he's in now.
It depends on which category you're going with and what the community deems acceptable. Because there are certain like things that you can do and can't do, and it's all based on what makes the game interesting or fun to watch. So, for example, another famous speedrun game is GoldenEye, right? And with GoldenEye, there was a huge controversy. I've been watching a lot of this so far, but there was this huge controversy where if you look down at the ground, you will run faster than if you're looking straight forward.
Oh, it's like the new Fallout.
Yeah, so it's like Fallout 76, where if you're looking down, you're moving faster than if you're going just looking straight. So there was like a huge controversy around that. It's like, okay, well, if I'm looking down and you're doing a speed run and you're filming that speed run and you're showing it to everybody, look, I got X amount of time doing the speed run, and it's basically this guy looking down the entire time. And you're like, well, this is really boring. Why would I want to watch this? So, but the point that I wanted to go with is like, there are some glitches that are acceptable. There are some glitches that are not. But it's all dependent on the community and how they feel about it. But the thing is that for me, it's like, doesn't that defeat the purpose of playing the game? Because if you're trying to do a speed run and trying to beat the game in the least amount of time, I think that any glitch would be detrimental to the overall speed run, especially in the case of Super Mario 64, where
I agree.
Oh, okay, Swayze, your dissenting opinion?
Yeah, I disagree. Chances are, if you're doing a speed run, you've already beaten the game.
Okay.
And some people might want to know about those glitches in the first place to do them that probably have also beaten the game. Or maybe they're just struggling with a certain spot.
Okay.
So I can see where that is helpful, but what Raph is saying, does it take away from the game or the value of being able to beat it quickly if you use a glitch?
Well, actually, another good example is with The Legend of Zelda, right? The 64 version, Ocarina of Time. Have you guys played it? Jameis, have you played Ocarina of Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know a lot about Ocarina of Time.
All right, so you know how long that game can be, right? You've probably spent hours and hours on it.
Most of it in the Water Temple.
Okay, so imagine all the frustration that you had in the Water Temple and you trying your hardest to beat that part of the game. Now imagine that somebody just recently beat the Water Temple, or not the Water Temple, but the entire game in under 20 minutes.
Hard to do
That
with
type
the
of stuff doesn't really
cutscenes,
hurt my
but go ahead.
feelings.
No, it actually was done, right? And the reason why it was done is that they used a series of glitches all combined together to get them not only past the final fight with Ganondorf, right, but also to like a middle part of the credits to theoretically end the game. So they didn't have to do the final fight. All they did was do this series of glitches, and now you're in the middle part of the ending credits, and so you've technically beaten the game.
So I wouldn't count that as beating the game because you actually didn't accomplish anything. Like when you were saying with Mario 64, there's 120 stars, but you can do it in 70. Like that's like a minimum
Well, you
requirement.
can do it with one.
You can
Or
do it with
one,
0.
but that's with glitches. Like, are you able to do it 70 without glitches?
I believe the 70 rules are you have to get a minimum of 70 stars, and usually it takes about an hour or so to beat that game.
So I think if you're using glitches, I think it's kind of on the cheating side because I've seen the stuff with Ocarina of Time, all those stuff where you can bypass, parts of the game and bypass the triggers that allow other events and doors to open up in the game. But I think there's stuff in Ocarina of Time you don't have to do, and there's stuff that you do have to do. So there is a minimum requirement to beat the game without a glitch. And I think if you do all the bare minimum and still beat it in a record time, it's valid. And same with any game. But if you are using a glitch to bypass chunks of the game, you didn't beat it. All you did was bypass a bunch of programming to the end credits, and that's it.
Swayze, your thoughts?
I'm all for exploits, man. I love getting an advantage over someone else if I can in a video game. So I'm still on the side of exploits. I think if you got to the end of the game and beat the end of the game, you won.
But you didn't beat the end of the game.
Well, even in the case
You jumped past the end of the game.
Yeah, even the case in Ocarina of Time where you glitched to the end credits. You didn't even beat Ganondorf. You didn't do anything in that game. All you went like the video literally shows this guy doing a series of events that look random, but in reality he's just in the first tree, pressing a bunch of buttons to get to the end of the game, and that's it.
If let's jump back to the 90s and early 2000s. If you plugged in GameShark into your PlayStation or Nintendo, and then bam, you were at the end, that's pretty much the same thing. You didn't beat the game. You just cheated to the very end. You didn't
There's
accomplish
a difference
anything.
between cheats and exploits.
Yeah, so another thing is speedrunning versus playing the game like a normal, let's say a completionist, like I want to experience everything in the game, right? When you're speedrunning, you're not there to really envelop in the story and everything like that. You're there. The point of speedrunning is actually finding glitches and finding shortcuts and trying to get from point A to point B the fastest way possible.
So if it's defined
That's
that
what I'm
way,
saying.
then yeah, it's legitimate.
So, like if you watch, there's like I think I forget how often they do it, but there's like a stream called Games Done Quick, where it's like a charity stream for speedrunners, right?
Yeah.
And they do all these quick, really fast speed runs of all these games, and all the people that are doing these know about all these tricks, and like it's like someone finds out a new trick and then everyone starts adapting to that. It's almost like when you're playing a multiplayer game and there's like a meta build that you go with or something like that. There's not a whole lot of creativity in it. It's just who can find the best,
most efficient.
Yes, who can find the most efficient formula or method or what have you for going from point A to point B. And that's the point of speedrunning, to get to the credits as quick as possible, which by definition is the end of the game.
Well, then Gnarly, in my opinion, there are certain exploits that they don't allow, and that's based on community decision. And I feel like that seems to be a clear abandonment of the whole idea. So once again,
I agree with that.
Yeah, the GoldenEye thing where they found out that just looking down was an advantage versus just looking straight. Like some people use it, some people don't, and then there are certain people who have mixed opinions on it, and it's still controversial till this day. But I would say that if you're trying to complete the game as quick as possible, that's what you should be doing. But there are certain members of the community who I guess own the records, quote unquote, that they do not allow these exploits to happen, and so they decide that that's this is a thing that's banned. This is not a thing that's banned, and it seems to be arbitrary and based on what the community feels like at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Right. There are completionist records though for speedrunning. So, for example, Doom has a mode where you can play Ultraviolent, which is the hardest level, and then you have to kill all monsters, and then you also have to find all secrets, right? So that to me, like, takes the aspect of the completionist, and then that also takes the aspect of speedrunning and molds them together. Although it's not a very popular, it's not a very popular record to try to go for, because there's a lot of R&D with it. So
What's R&D?
RNG.
RNG. That's what I meant. Random
Number generation.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
there's a lot of luck that goes into it, which becomes like more of a pain in the ass than anything else. And it's less reliant on skill and just more reliant on grinding. And so when it gets to that point, then you're kind of like, does it really matter if I grind for 1,000 hours, I'll get a faster score than the person who grinded for 999 hours,
Seems like we're pretty mixed on that. I think it's going to break down to what your definition is, your personal and the community definitions for specific games.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm pretty conflicted, just because, like, I'm watching these channels, and I'm kind of like, man, it's really interesting to see these guys like create these like or find these really niche exploits in this game, and cutting down the completion of a game from an hour and 5 minutes to like 15 minutes, something really something really small, and people dedicate a lot of time to this to try to get everything 100% right. And you have to acknowledge that there's a certain amount of skill to, one, find these exploits, and then two, try to recreate these exploits and kind of do the thing that has been shown to you online.
Do you think some of them are found by accident?
Oh, almost 100% of them are found by accident. But
I mean, there's no skill in that.
Well, it's the first person that finds it on accident, but he doesn't create the record. The person who utilizes that exploit in a timed run is the person who gets their name on the books, as it were.
So you know what? I can give credit to I'm kind of changing my opinion on this. So if there's like a set exploits and glitches in-game cheats, and you take the time to do multiple runs to perfect it, and you have thousands of people doing the same thing, and you happen to be fastest, I think that is an achievement.
Okay.
Right there, because everyone knows the same cheats and everything, and you happen to be faster than everyone else. Okay, yeah, you get a hand on that.
Yeah. So like that's my part. Like that's like my for side, right? The against side is you're defeating the entire purpose of the game as it was intended by the developers, right? So in the case I'm sorry?
I'm gonna say, yeah, you defeat the purpose, and to say like you complete the game the fastest, or maybe not 100% complete the game, but I still think it's a cheat, and you can't say you beat it the quickest because you actually didn't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because like with Zelda, you don't have to get every heart or every weapon in order to win, but there are basic checkpoints within the game you have to accomplish. So to beat in my opinion, the speed run and beat the game the quickest is to hit every checkpoint that's a minimal in order to complete the game or beat it. But if you glitch your way through, I don't consider it beating it. But I do give props to people that can do it that quickly and take the time to practice runs over and over and be the top.
Mm-hmm. What about ones that have kind of like just this random sequence and element? Like, so, for example, with Ocarina of Time and subsequently with Majora's Mask, the reason why they can do it so fast is because they jump to a certain part of the game. And the reason why they jump to a certain part of the game is that when they're doing the sequence of events, a certain section of code is being generated in order to get them to the next segment of the game. And so therefore they can jump it all the way to the very end or they get to the ending credits. And the same thing that happens with Ocarina of Time, where you can get to the ending credits in under 20 minutes, you can also do the same thing with Majora's Mask, where you can get to the moon, which is like the main ending goal. Like
Spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alerts. If you haven't played this game, it's 20 years old. Go play it. You know.
So this is how I would think about it. If you're trying to drive from point A to point B, you have the business route, and then you have the just the highway that cuts through. If they say, hey, your goal is to get from your house to this store, just taking local roads, there's stoplights and stores and other things you're going to pass. But if you just glitch over to the highway and bypass it all and you're at the end, then you actually didn't complete your journey because you skipped all the checkpoints. But you did, in fact, get there the quickest. And everyone else, like, well, I'm just going to take the highway and skip the business route. But, I'm willing to go 90 miles an hour, but he's willing to go 110 miles an hour on the highway. So props to him.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess in that case, that brings me down to a terrible segue because I completely forgot what we were talking about. But what I want to talk.
Were we still talking about our status, us versus China?
What?
No, we were just talking about speedrunning.
No. But this led into speedrunning. Oh, I'm sorry. Speedrunning was on the Notion board. We'll get this in post edit.
Oh yes, we'll get it in post always.
Yeah.
So the next item.
There's
on
a
the
board?
list, there is a Notion board, Frosty, for the podcast. If I can send you a link.
It's fun.
So there is not a phenomenon, but it's something that I like to do all the time, and that is the YouTube deep dive. Are you guys familiar with the YouTube deep dive?
Yes.
Yeah, I call it a rabbit hole.
Is that where you go from link to link to link?
Yes, it goes from link to link to link, and you can keep on going down forever until the algorithm stops you. But I was actually curious to see what is the weirdest thing on YouTube that you found on a YouTube deep dive.
I can show you, but I really can't tell you.
Interesting.
I can't display it on the podcast, so you're gonna have to describe it to me as best you can.
Well, so I'm very familiar with YouTube deep diving, and I'd say one of the, I look for like the stuff that should be viral, but isn't, and like there's this one thing, I think I posted it on the Discord, and it was like RoboCop, like the original creators made this YouTube video, and they made it so RoboCop comes in and they recreate a complete scene, but instead of RoboCop shooting them in the chest, he shoots them in the dick. And it's completely uncensored and everything. It's absolutely hilarious, but like at the same time you don't want to watch it because you're seeing, male genitalia getting shot like repetitively.
Okay. So, like, RoboCop's just shooting everyone in the dick? That's just how it is?
Yeah, like, at one point, so it starts off, RoboCop rolls up, and there's these two guys that are trying to rape a woman, right? And RoboCop, being a hero, so they like, take her hostage or whatever, stand behind her with a knife to her neck or something. And RoboCop sees that she's wearing a dress and shoots through the dress and hits him in the dick. And then it proceeds to have like a bunch of other rapists come out, and then RoboCop proceeds to shoot all of them in the dick.
How many people are trying to rape this one woman? There's only so many
like
places,
people.
Man.
It's
like 20 people.
It's Detroit in the 80s, Frosty.
Well, it's Detroit in the 80s in the future.
Yeah, Detroit in the 80s in the future. Yeah, it's not a very
future
good time.
80s.
Future 80s. Okay. So my weirdest YouTube deep dive was a video of an Asian man eating what I can only assume is a bowl of cold ramen, crying with this massive spoon, and then all of a sudden, out of it's a completely white room, white table, white everything, right? And all you see is this guy crying and eating a bowl of ramen, and the only thing behind him is a black entrance to the room. And out of this entrance to the room comes like somebody that looks a bit like a Teletubby, but not really, kind of like a demented Teletubby. And they come into the room, and as this guy is crying, the Teletubby is comforting the man by kind of stroking his hair, right? And that's it. That's all you get. That's the entire video, right? And it's so unnerving. I had to stay off YouTube for at least 4 hours. Because that was the weirdest thing. Like, it was just not...
It made you unsettled.
It was very unsettling. I was startled. That's the weirdest thing that YouTube allowed me to see.
Yeah, it sounds startling.
It is a bit startling.
It sounds pretty average. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube like that.
Do you look that up often?
I end up on those videos often, yes.
Grown men crying into bowls of ramen, cold ramen.
I mean, the other day on Facebook, I say the other day, about a year ago on Facebook, I saw someone repair a sink with ramen. So, like...
I remember seeing that.
I've seen that.
Like, that's pretty weird.
That's ingenuitive right
that's
there.
Not
all right?
ingenuitive.
Yes,
that's
it is.
When it gets wet. Yeah.
That's not going to hold.
Whoa. I'm not saying it's practical.
But you know what? You run some hot water over that, you got a meal.
But
a
to be
meal.
fair, he fucking made it work. Like if he were to sell that house with that sink as is, no one would have a fucking clue that it was ramen that was holding that sink together. And the first time they went to like
it.
Exactly. But no one tests the sink. You see a sink and you're like, all right, that's a sink.
So you're opposed to the lemon law then, assuming.
The lemon law?
Yeah. Like, you buy a shitty vehicle, or a vehicle that you presume isn't shitty, and then it is, breaks down like first day or whatever, and you're just out your money. Well, the lemon law protects you from that.
No, if you're a dumbass that fucking falls for it, you're a dumbass that falls for it.
Let's say you bought a new vehicle, right? And your new vehicle...
found out that vehicle's ramen.
Yeah.
You find
your
the vehicle's ramen?
Your vehicle's air intake is made out of ramen.
Did you test drive the fucking vehicle?
Yeah, it worked fine during the test drive.
Yeah, it worked.
But then
yeah.
once you bought it, and once you drove off the lot, it turned into ramen.
First off, if they made a car with ramen as the car... and you were the first person to buy that car, and more people still bought that car after finding out that it is made out of ramen.
Maybe Ramen Sink guy was the one who made it.
Okay, he can make one, or is he manufacturing these? Are these mass-produced?
No, he's just one of the workers there.
I mean, pot.
It's like, oh, we're out of this part. I'm gonna replace this part with ramen.
Well, then you have a legal issue with safety violations. Like, a sink is not a safety violation. If you're on a highway and you can commit murder because your car engine falls apart while you're driving it because it is held together by ramen, now you're endangering other lives. A sink is a
what you're
sink.
saying is you're not.
Wait. But what
you're
happens?
not for it.
What happens if you buy this house that has a sink of ramen, and you decide that you want to fill up the sink in order to defrost some chicken, and then all of a sudden the ramen fails? The ramen bridge or dam that as it were, it fails, and you end up flooding your entire house with ramen water.
What are you doing to let your house flood with ramen water?
Well, you have to, if you're defrosting the chicken, you let cold water run over it over time.
First off, this was a bathroom sink. It wasn't a kitchen sink. So you're telling me he took a chicken and put it in his bathroom sink to defrost the chicken.
Well, that's even
That person
worse.
is a sociopath, and he deserves what he gets.
That's even worse because what happens if you are in your bathroom sink with ramen sink, right? And you're drying your hair with the hair dryer as you were, and the ramen is leaking to a furious extent, and you are wearing platform shoes, so you don't notice that there is a river of ramen water in your bathroom, and you accidentally drop your hair dryer, causing an electrical water that your platform shoes does not protect you from, because the platform shoes are also made of a conductive material, and you electrocute and die.
Why are you filling the sink when you're blow drying your hair?
Because you are also trying to shave.
Now you're trying to do too many things at one time, and you deserve to die.
Like make a sink out of ramen.
Like, you should not be focusing on that many tasks at one time in general, because then you're just you're haphazarding everything. Your hair's not going to be dry, your face isn't going to be shaved, nothing's going to get accomplished. You could be electrocuted. You focus on one thing at a time, maybe two.
This argument's not really going anywhere, but I think making a sink out of ramen and then selling it as if it's a real sink is kind of a dick move.
Well, I mean, I think that would...
If you are selling it as a real sink, yes, you are. I'm not saying the guy is a good guy. The guy's obviously an asshole. But the fact that you can make a sink out of ramen is ingenuitive. Like, the sheer... Like, who thinks to do that, first of all?
The guy did it for shock value, though.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
If you go on YouTube and just type "fixed with ramen," you'll find a million fucking videos of people just fixing shit with ramen just for views.
They made a knife out of ramen.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Well, you can make anything a knife.
I mean, I'd buy the ramen knife because that's
3 million views.
Yeah,
Chinese man uses ramen instant noodles to repair broken things. Crazy.
It's ingenuitive.
Well,
I would use that knife.
Ramen, or is it ramen and adhesive?
Yeah, it's adhesive as well.
Oh, well, that's like half as ingenuitive, because basically you're just using ramen as the flex tape.
It's the filler.
Yeah, you still need something to hold it. In general.
No, but if it was just ramen, like you wrapped ramen around, like, you know, a leaky pipe, and that solved the problem, that would be amazing.
So you would have to boil said ramen, make it malleable, wrap said ramen around a piece of something, and then dry out said ramen to have it be hard again. That would be impressive. That takes some work.
And then,
I'm back.
If you can use some kind of edible glue to make the whole thing edible, that would be a thing. Like, imagine like building a car out of that, and then like, oh, my car broke down. I'm hungry. Well, let's just eat the hood. Fuck it.
What are we talking about?
Ramen.
Well, then you're talking about changing cellular density just by dipping a seasoning on it.
You can change the color of your car by the fucking seasoning packets.
I think I'll have
You want
chicken
cumin
pan.
brown or basil green?
Yeah.
I think I'll have chicken flavor today.
Oh man, that paprika looks real nice on that car. God damn.
Whoa. Don't scratch the seats. Turmeric.
Turmeric seeds. That'd be interesting. Well, I mean, Jameis, that's all I got on the agenda. Who's your mysterious man of the week?
Man of the week. By the way, where was that on the agenda?
Man of the week?
No, the ramen.
Oh, that was on YouTube Deep Diving. We deep dived into a ramen video.
Okay.
Wait, we didn't get Gnarly's. I want to hear Gnarly's weirdest YouTube video.
So the weirdest YouTube deep dive I got into was I ended up. So you know when you start watching videos and it's got autoplay and then you pass out drunk in your chair and then you wake up hours later and you're like, how the fuck did I get here?
I don't.
Well,
Yes.
I woke up.
Familiar. Yep.
I woke up to a mukbang video.
A what? Say again. What was that?
To a mukbang video. It's basically where people just eat a fuck ton of food for shock value. And this really tiny, petite Asian woman had like a massive bowl of spaghetti. I'm not talking like a tray of spaghetti. I'm talking like one of those massive woks, you know, like that size. Like it was like bigger than any normal person would be able to eat, let alone a petite woman like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
The sheer
she's
mass
just,
of it.
she's just slurping it. Like it's almost as if the whole thing was like one long noodle, and she was just constantly like. And I woke up and I saw that like full screen, and I'm just like, "The fuck am I looking at?"
You got an instant hard on. Don't lie.
Yeah, I kind of did.
Oh wait, Gringo Man, welcome to the podcast. This is live.
Oh hi. Who is Jay Mays?
You know me
Jay.
from high school.
Interesting to say that you're fuck it.
I am a fellow Gringo.
Nah. I don't see no G in your name.
See a J though.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I'll be right back.
There you go.
All right,
California living.
That's right. You know, Frosty. You know.
He's got a protest to go to.
Yeah.
He's got a protest to go to.
Make sure you
That's
bring
right.
your CBD
That's
gummies.
That's right.
How are things in? Oh, he's on mute now. I was gonna ask him how are things because he's in LA, right?
I can still hear you. Yeah, I'm in LA.
How are things
Yep.
down there?
It got a little crazy. The biggest problem is that my fiance's family has a bookstore, and during the protests, they are right next to City Hall for Van Nuys. So it got a little dicey in the beginning, but other than that, it's been pretty
Calm down a little bit.
Pretty tame. Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine that the looters and rioters were totally down to steal all the books.
Yeah. Imagine that they actually decided to go to the Boost Mobile instead. You know.
If any store is safe, if
They
any
need
store
fuel
is
for the
safe,
fire.
They start
Oh,
stealing
God.
books, and it's like
Book
finally
burning?
they start learning how to fucking read.
Yeah.
God damn it!
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna have
Shit,
to
we got the
edit that
internet
out
for
in
that.
post.
Google tell me what I need. Damn.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
man.
But man, it's been actually it's been good. Other than the fact that people just going out now, and all of a sudden Corona's just spiking up again. Imagine that, crazy.
I still don't understand why large businesses are allowed to open, but smaller businesses are not allowed to open.
Excuse me.
Have less people.
Why the fuck is AMC opening when I got plenty of access to those early access movies? Like, just release those shits digitally.
Oh.
Like, what the fuck? Why are we playing at this anymore?
The movie theater industry is probably gonna die after this.
Good.
It's pretty much
It's
dead.
an archaic fucking just event that we used to do because nobody got movies elsewhere. Now we all got fucking 70, 80-inch TVs. Like, why the fuck are we going in a giant theater, coughing on each other, dealing with the fucking talking that they're doing? Like, goddamn, I'll just sit at home. Fuck.
But to be
Gringo,
fair,
Gringo Man.
you don't get
Okay, yeah.
you don't get the
Hold on,
feel.
hold
Oh
on.
my god!
Gringo Man, where are you gonna get the hot butter for your hot butter popcorn?
I'm gonna fucking put it in the microwave like a goddamn adult.
It's not the same.
Gringo
It's not
Man.
the same.
It's not the same.
You know it's not the
not
same.
the
I know
same.
it's not the
Hey,
same.
guess, hey, you motherfuckers, guess what? Did you not live in the future? Is it not 2020? Do we not have the internet? Can you not look up how to make fucking movie popcorn butter, you pieces of shit? Yes, you can!
Same.
Yes, you
It's the
can!
environment. It's the environment. All right. There's a
No.
vibe. There's a vibe to going to watch Justice League in the movie theaters with your fucking large blue icy. You got your large blue icy. You got your large bale of popcorn. You're sitting there munching. You got
You're using
in
justice.
front of you. You got 3 people in front of you. Fucking mouth it off. You're like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to watch Superman with his fake mustache sitting on the screen. All right, shut the fuck up. I'm watching this.
I fucking hate that. Ugh. But
Is that
I mean,
coming out?
If
Deal
you
with
like walking on jizz-covered floors for your movie experience, I mean, I can come over anytime you need it. I mean,
Gringo Man.
just let me
Gringo
know.
Man.
I'll even do it cheaper than the movie price.
Gringo Man, where are teenagers going to have sex now? If not the movie theater.
The backs of cars, like the rest of us.
I need an unsolicited hand job while I'm on the state. All right.
Obviously, at the end of the pier.
Yeah,
So-
clearly,
wait
life
a second.
imitates art.
Wait a second, Gringo Man. When you said you will come over there, did you mean CUM or COME?
He meant both. I think.
Well,
he meant
let me explain this to you, there,
It was a
J
double-
Mays.
double entendre.
Yeah. Some of us haven't caught up to the rest of the conversation, so let's rewind 10 seconds and go, yes, that meant two things for you, J Mace. Now that you've caught up, laugh.
You are the funniest. Thank you.
I thought you were gonna go a different direction with that, but all right.
We're
I'll let it happen.
I coulda.
We're getting spicy today.
I
Vamped
told
up.
you I'm 2 drinks in. I'm going.
Gringo
All
Man
amped up on
firing
Mountain
all
Dew.
cylinders right now.
I
You
started.
guys all were tame before this, I imagine, and then I dropped in, started listening, and being like, "No, hold on 1 second."
And in that 1 second, he put 2 beers down.
I did.
Were they White Claws?
Nah, man, this is we're doing vodka soda.
Oh, fancy.
That's not fancy.
I
That's
guess
cheap.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's definitely more on the side that it should be.
Riding them voters.
So, how long has this been going on?
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
I don't know.
136 right now.
I was dragged in against my will.
We
Yeah.
pulled Frosty from the Escape from Tarkov channel, asking him how the front lines in Tarkov were.
Right.
I did see or listen to a cool thing on NPR about movie theaters during this time. There was a guy, I guess he's known for producing movies really quickly, and it was almost like a bet if he can produce a movie that would be like top on the charts. So in one day, him and another guy made the script and made the cast, and over 4 days, they made the movie over Zoom with 4 other actors, put it together, put it in a couple movie theaters, and then bought out all the tickets for it. And because of that, it inflated the ratings, or the popularity of it, and actually made it number 1.
So a YouTuber. So it basically is what you just described as a YouTube video someone made, but for
They
a movie.
did
theater.
it. They did it as if it was like through YouTube, but this guy is an actual director, and he did it in the same sense. Then, ironically, the movie is called Unsubscribe, about 4 people who go to a YouTube channel for gaming, and it ends up being something else. It's like a trap, and it's like a psychological thriller. The guy pretty much did it as a challenge.
I tell you what, though, you did not sell me on that movie.
I wasn't trying to
For
sell
the
you the movie.
reviews.
I'm just trying to tell you that with the movie industry, no one going, he was able to hit top of the charts by
Sweet.
doing that. It was pretty much a hack to get to the top.
Are you saying it was a glitch? It was a speed run?
It was. It was a speed run. It absolutely was. So credit to him.
Yeah, but I don't think that was legitimate. I feel like
So you're telling me
Yeah.
you're not excited for Justice League's Snyder Cut? You're telling me you're gonna sit there and tell me that you're not excited for it?
Hey, do you know what happens? Let me explain to you how you re-editing garbage still makes it garbage. Even if you put the fire out, it's just kind of burnt garbage at that point. But we still have a shit ton of garbage on our hands. But now at least it's not on fire.
Oh,
Gringo Man, are you like a Marvel fan? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I like to admit that I like movies with cohesive plots, not your superhero bullshit all the fucking time now.
they are dying. This is a die. They missed their mark. They missed their time.
I think it's just overdone at this point. I think
Yeah,
that's where it is. Like,
it's oversaturated the market.
yeah. It's more so like I love. Don't get me wrong. Like I liked what Marvel was starting to do with Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that, but it does. It's like too little, too late at this point. Because like, what's drawing me into those movies anymore? Especially when you've completed essentially what is whatever the fuck they call it now, phase 1, phase 2, whatever the fuck it is. Like, and like that's a cohesive, you know, storyline. Like, why do I want to keep fucking watching other than the fact that, you know, it might be Star-Lord again, whatever.
They finished the arc. It was
exactly
2 decades.
Yeah.
They finished the arc, and it had its ending, and now they want to restart the arc.
I'm fine with that. I'm sure they'll come up with something cool or something like that, but I don't know. They'd have to really do something really out there for me to get back in.
So
Well, now they're doing it
have
with lesser-known stars, so now it's like, I don't know if you're gonna get the same results, man.
Normally we have a rant section where we can, a rant of the week. And I think, Matt, you're just going to win it for this week. I don't think any of us have to rant about anything.
I'm going to give you a news flash. Invite me every week, and I'll win it every week.
Yeah, you're invited. That's why we put this channel up. So you can...
I had no idea. Shit, I didn't know. Fuck.
I got like a text message like after y'all had already started. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's because Gemini and I had started this. It was supposed to be, just us, but then we had it open for other people. So it's like the second week that we're doing this, like open for everybody. And it's still brand new. And not to clog the channel up with a bunch of people trying to talk at once. So we're just trying to feel it out.
Yeah.
But for rant, I think Ringo Man, you are going to have full autonomy of the rant section of the week.
Just like Chaz.
Fucking, it's that.
Chaz, bro, Chaz. You want to listen to some Jack Johnson and? Excuse me.
No.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme after like day 2 where they had to call the fire department for the dumpster fire?
No.
And they were like, "I've never seen a more apropos title to a headline than citizens of Chaz call fire department over dumpster fire."
We'll let you win, but just this one time.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It was a good time. But I mean, I'm through my list. Jameis, what is your notable person of the week?
Notable person of the week is Elisha Gray, or Elisha Gray, Elisha Gray, American Gray with an A, not an E, like in Europe.
I don't know what just happened.
Already just dividing the audience right away. Let's go.
You just bent my brain in too many directions at once, and I don't
in
know
Europe,
where I'm
they
at.
spell Gray, Grey. In America, is Gray. Anyways, this guy was born in the 1800s in America. He supposedly made the telephone before Bell. He was working on it for 2 years beforehand, and supposedly the way the story goes, they were both on the way to the patent office to patent the telephone, and he stopped, or his lawyer stopped, to get lunch, causing them to be 2 hours late in submitting the patent. And through debates in court, they were able to prove that Bell actually took the designs from Gray, but Gray got there first, so he gets all the credit and everything, but he is pretty much the father of the telephone.
Where was Gray from?
Gray, he was born in Ohio.
Oh, so he was an American.
Yeah, he's from America.
I thought it was European based on that rant.
No,
he's saying he spelled it European.
All right, I'm gonna make this simple. Gray with an A is America because the A stands for America. Gray with an E is Europe because E is for Europe.
Jesus Christ!
What?
Holy fuck!
So Elisha
What
Gray.
the fuck? Oh,
But also he invented this other thing called the telephote, which would take images and put it through a transmitter, and on the receiving end, it would put it together, aka the primitive version of the television. So he is also credited for that as well.
thank you for any of those still listening. This has been Hooked on Phonics with Jay Mace. We continue on with the rest of the broadcast.
No.
So yeah, so this section is about people that did something awesome and great in history, but
No.
no one knows who they are.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Have you guys are so what is the overall, since this is the first interaction to me, what are you guys, what are your beats, what do you guys hit at, what have you been talking about?
All right, so
Various topics.
So since you were super late to the and
And he left you.
No, he's back. Okay.
I jumped another channel. Whoops.
All right, so we did ASL and our experiences with ancient chats, and then we did.
Dude, I love American Sign Language. That's great.
That's what I said.
That's right.
AIDS, sex, love.
Then we did speed running. Then we did YouTube deep diving.
We did America's place in the world as a social powerhouse.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. I thought that was interesting, but
And don't forget to throw your beer at your screen to hit that like button.
That's right.
And subscribe.
Also, Raid Shadow Legends is a thing, and you should totally download it.
Not a sponsor.
not a sponsor at all. Never played Rage.
All right, then you cannot get me to say that then.
You should spend all your money on this free game, Raid Shadow Legends.
Yes.
You've seen our
Totally
promo
free. 100% free.
You get
But
50,000 coins.
It's got over 5 million downloads.
And the Google Play
See?
Store.
How many active users? How about that? How about you give me that number?
There you go. Frosty's where it's at right now. Give me them numbers. Tell me.
Give me the hard
users
facts
right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Gringerman, you want to chime in on any of those?
Well, I don't know if you guys have really dive into this. I am a recent VR convert.
Hell yeah.
And I've been really wanting to talk about this because today, actually...
Save it for next week. Thank you all for coming.
You son of a bitch!